We're back. One Shining Podcast. There's been a lot going on since the last time we recorded. Titus and I were leading into all these tournaments. It's been crazy. We don't even know if we can cover everything today.
Listen, you lost someone that was near and dear to your heart.
Mm-hmm.
I also lost someone who was near and dear to my heart.
Don't say it.
It's gonna. I'm getting choked up, dude. This is hard. Stallball's dead, man. It's dead.
No!
It's no more. Kevin Stallings is gone, man. I thought we had one more year. I did.
We wanted one more year.
We needed one more year. We had to have one more year. And Kevin Stallings, he didn't go down without a fight. We'll say that much. Pitt,
and some will say he did because he went 0-18 in conference play, but,
0-19 if you count the ACC tournament. Pitt,
numbers be damned.
Pitt goes to fire him. The Pitt AD goes to fire him, and she's like, wait, what the hell? You have a $10 million buyout? This can't be right. So Pitt starts looking, is there a way we can fire him with cause?
Yes.
And the obvious joke that my mind goes to is from The Office, where Michael goes, it's like David Wallace goes, you can't fire Toby without cause. And Michael goes, I do have cause. It's because I hate him. That's what I felt like Pitt was. So they're trying to fire Stallings with cause so they don't have to pay his buyout. Stallings says no, which, like, I felt like the media was sort of trying to portray this as like a bad thing for Stallings, but like most people saw it through. I saw like the fans on Twitter were like, "Well, of course the guy wants his money. Why would he not? Like, what's same person?"
It's the whole point of signing a contract.
Yeah,
he is owed all of this money.
Yeah, of course
he's not
going
to take for cheap and be like, "No, guys, I understand. I really have screwed up. You guys, I'll take less." That's not going to happen.
So he fights. He gets his $10 million Tate.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, we get sort of a happy ending because he gets the golden parachute that he gets to.
Let's be honest. He gets a great happy ending. He has $10 million not to coach.
But no, he's saying now that he's retiring. This is not the happy ending, Tate. And what I want to say to Kevin is this. We can fix this. Mm-hmm. And when I say we, I mean Tate and I.
Yes.
I mean, we are uniquely qualified as we have been Stallball brand connoisseurs from the beginning. Mm-hmm. We can fix this.
Dating back to the Vanderbilt days.
If anybody knows Kevin Stallings, has his contact information, anything like that, please reach out to us. Slide into our DMs. We are going to save this man's career. I think the first step, as the Korean Renaissance has taught us, the first step is you take a year off and you do media stuff. Now Stallings, as we know, sort of a foul mouth. Like, he's not going to go on ESPN and be like, hi, Mickey Mouse audience.
Yeah, Disney's not going to appreciate that.
Yeah, he wants to say, I'll fucking kill you, as he said before. I got a great spot that he can do that, Tate. It's called One Shining Podcast. We want Stallings to work for us. We want him to be our coaching correspondent. We want to be like, hey, listen, I still think Trae Young's good, but I don't know. I'd love to hear a coach's perspective. Coach Stallings, what do you think? And he's like, I'd fucking kill that kid. And then we're like, thanks, Coach. Like, that would be a great segment on this show. I don't know, Tate. It hurt. It really does. I thought he had one more year in him. I saw like a list. I think it was Rob Douster, friend of the program, tweeted this out. Like, there have been like 6 guys. I forget the timeline, but there's only like 6 guys that have ever been fired at a major program who have only been there for 2 years. And 2 of them were like NCAA violations. 2 of them were like off-court scandals. And now one of them is Kevin Stallings. I forget who the other guy was. But so basically, like, this is very, very rare for a guy to get hired at a major school and then turn around and get fired just because he sucks.
And let's be honest, when the FBI report, when everything came out from Yahoo with all the spreadsheets and everything, every single program, what are you all thinking? I hope my coach isn't on that list. I hope we don't have a player on that list. Every single person at Pitt at the time was, I hope Kevin Stallings is on that list. I hope that we have a Pitt player on that list. And that was because they were trying to find cause to get rid of this guy. He's a clean man. He's a good guy. He is the ultimate good guy. And I know that we have some awards. We haven't quite announced that whole
the Duffy's coming.
Yeah, the Duffy's.
The Duffy's are coming.
They're coming.
He let us know that at Louisville. He said, at least I didn't pay my players $100,000. Yeah. And he wasn't willing to give Cam Johnson fake classes, which is why Cam Johnson had to transfer to North Carolina. It's all right there in front of us, Tate. He doesn't want to cheat. This man plays it the right way. And I got to say, I'm disgusted with the city of Pittsburgh. I'm going to call them out. So we get a letter, Tate, from on Pittsburgh Sports Now.
Yeah, we should say we personally did not get sent a letter. We wish we would have.
Pittsburgh Sports Now publishes a letter that was written by, it says, an unsigned letter from the wife of one of the former members of Pitt's basketball staff. And this wife, if she actually exists, I mean, you know how the coaches' wives rumors go.
I would love if Kevin Stallings wrote this letter himself under the moniker of a coach's wife.
Basically, so this quote-unquote wife writes the letter. This wife that is definitely not Kevin Stallings.
Definitely not balding.
Writes the letter and says, like, Pittsburgh's a bad sports town. How dare you? How dare you? And I got to say, I'm aligning myself with this woman who, she says, you don't give the guy time. You have unreal expectations out of the gate. What chance did he possibly have? And the line that got me was this. She says, no great player is going to want to come play at a place that it's impossible that his own fans that his own fans will turn on him the second he makes a mistake. No great coach is going to want to come to a place where he feels his job is in jeopardy the minute he starts losing. And to that I say that is not true. This is the one thing I disagreed with in the letter, because Tate, I do think there's a great coach that wants to come coach in that environment. I think there's a great coach that already signed up to coach in that environment, and that great coach's name was Kevin
Jamie
Stallings.
Dixon.
It was Kevin Stallings.
Oh.
We already had the coach, Tate. He was there, and you got rid of him. This is a Jamie Dixon situation all over again. You saw what, like, but I'm devastated by this, man. You're the ACC expert. What is your take on this?
I think the take on this is, and I don't do takes. I don't partake in takes. But Kevin Stallings has been instant entertainment for everyone in the ACC. Everyone needs a common enemy, and that's how you galvanize the whole group of people together. So the best thing about the ACC basketball season has been, at least we beat Pitt. You know, Wake Forest, Danny Manning, friend of the program. I love Wake Forest basketball and what they're doing, but they're a young team still trying to figure it out. And every single time you're like, man, I feel really bad for Wake. They're just getting killed in the ACC. It's like, oh, well, Pitt's coming up in 2 games.
Right.
You know, so every team had the Kevin Stallings special on the way, and now they don't have that to fall back on. But my thing about this Pitt program right now is they're going to have to go cheap because they have to pay Kevin Stallings $10 million, which is amazing. So now they're going to have to try to find a young guy to bring in, and everyone wants to bring in these big-name guys. Like, I even saw Ben Howland. Everyone's like, Ben Howland, maybe he's not happy at Mississippi State.
Bring him back.
He's got some things going on in Starksville, Mississippi. Maybe he wants to go back to Pittsburgh. That's not going to happen. They can't pay Ben Howland. So I think that they have to go young, and a guy that's definitely not going to keep his job because, as Seth Greenberg pointed out, I mean, if Rick Pitino was coaching Louisville would be an instant Final Four team, no matter what.
No disrespect to
Dave Padgett. You know, like,
said.
I'm not saying anything disrespectful, but if Rick Pitino was coaching that team, they would win a national title. There's no doubt about it. But there's nothing to say anything about Dave Padgett.
But they're garbage now. They're absolute trash. I mean, this is like the worst. This is an affront to basketball. But if Rick
could
Pitino,
not have done a worse
offense,
coaching job than Dave
but
Padgett.
If Rick Pitino was here,
but I think Dave Padgett's actually a great hire. I mean, I love the tall head coach.
Dave Padgett.
Yeah, so like just take him from this ACC program that doesn't want him and wants to get rid of him and start dropping bags again, and bring him to Pitt. Like, pay him $700,000, make him earn his spot, and see what happens.
Interesting.
He's familiar with the conference.
The one name that came up to me was, and a lot of people don't know this, was Sean Miller because he's from Pittsburgh. He played there.
Wow.
You think I Googled, we were researching for the pod, and we saw the letter was written by a coach's wife, and so I was like curious who's on staff at Pitt, and I Googled Pittsburgh basketball coaches, and the first result was Sean Miller. And I thought that was awesome. So I'm excited for that, especially if Sean Miller gets implicated in the FBI thing, but like not in a bad way. Like, I guess let me back up. If he gets implicated in the FBI thing, he's probably
not going to
be
a head coach.
He's probably
anymore.
toast.
Yeah.
But I mean, if like the Book Richardson tie-in to Sean Miller like gets him fired from Arizona somehow, because like Arizona fans listening to this, we have come to your defense with the Sean Miller stuff. But we should also mention that he is in no way, shape, or form out of the woods yet. Like
we can't blindly follow you into the darkness.
Sean Miller's vindicated. Schleybotched fucked it up, and we're all good now. It's
Which he did, but this is one report. there may
Sean
be
Miller's
more.
not. He might get drugged down eventually. But like if he gets something where it's like he wasn't directly involved because he did a good job of building the plausible whatever. I'm so ready for the rumors. And his wife was at the mall and was shopping for real estate in Pittsburgh, and she's allergic to the desert. People forget.
Just because you're not criminally implicated in an FBI case does not mean that the NCAA doesn't have some sort of case on their own to come in and then step in and make a decision. And you mentioned Sean Miller. We should mention his press conference last night.
Yeah, please do.
So he was asked about the Olympic model, which I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Olympics, but they do this thing where they let athletes get sponsored independently. They don't get paid to go to the Olympics, but you can be sponsored by Nike or freaking Wachovia or Wells Fargo, whatever.
It's how Michael Phelps afforded all that marijuana he smoked that one time.
Yes, one time he bought that gram of weed for $1 million. Yeah. So that's all to say that the Olympic model is out there. And now they ask him, they're like, well, if you're Trae Young or DeAndre Ayton or one of these guys, do you think that they should be able to be a part of the Olympic model? Yeah. This is like all journalists love, because the players have to get paid at some point. And so he asked Sean Miller this, and Sean Miller looks at him as if he asked him, I don't even know what the hell. Sean Miller was like literally lost in thought. Like, I can't believe this. I
don't understand the question.
He pulled the ultimate to fist. I don't understand the question, which is to say, I don't understand any of the words that you use to formulate a question. But then there's this great pregnant pause where he just sits there for a second, and you're expecting like a follow up to I don't understand the question. But maybe there is a world in which players should get paid. But he just stares at him, and the guy's like, "Well, Sean, I mean, what do we say to this? I don't know. I think that maybe they should get paid." And he was like, "I'm not authorized to answer this question."
I'm not. And then did you see the long cut of it? They cut to Alonzo Trier, and he was giving the dude like side eye, like what? What the hell kind of question is that? It was a great interaction. Yeah. So Sean is. The Sean Miller saga will always.
We say that there's going to be more questions to come for Sean Miller.
So what's next for Stallings? How do we fix this? How do we we got to get him back into coaching. I think this. Here's what I think happened. His ego is bruised, like because he said it again that he's retiring for good. This was it. But I think his ego is just bruised. He's taken his beatings, like you said. All the ACC people like love making fun of him. He was a huge punchline. We had a couple years ago where Boston College didn't win a game in the ACC, but that was like a sad story. You remember the kid they lose in the tournament, and the reporter asked the player, he's like, "What's the one memory you're gonna have from playing college basketball?" And he said, "Going out to eat."
All the team dinners.
It's like, and the funny thing about that was like that same team had gotten like Ebola from Chipotle. Remember the Boston College team that like had diarrhea for like 3 weeks from Chipotle?
So that was like a subtle metaphor for his college experience.
And so like that, but no one wanted to laugh because it was like the sad, because the guy, the kid was like saying this through tears, So it was like a sad situation.
Wasn't it Donahue, right, that was coaching that team?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But the point is, this Stallings situation was not sad. Everyone was just laughing at him the entire time. Present company excluded. We were not laughing.
We were laughing with him.
Yeah. So I think his ego is just bruised, and he's gonna be back, Tate. But it's just like, how do we make this happen? Because he's got, like, I think step one is obviously next year he comes on our pod. He's our coaching correspondent. But then where do we go from here? Does he need to shave his head? Does he need to do the Mike Dunleavy Sr. and do just like a brand overhaul and get rid of the?
I just go bald and I start wearing like super nice suits, pinstripe suits that are tailored to my body perfectly. That's a good angle. I think what happens with Stallings is he does the thing now where NBA teams, they hire you as a consultant. It's the Matt Darty treatment. We just hire you on, and we just say that you're a consultant for the team, and that's your new job, and basically just sit around NBA games. But someone tweeted at us a picture of Kevin Stallings. They said, put this in the One Shining podcast archives forever. He's asleep in this high school gym, and he's supposed to be recruiting, and this is like 2 weeks ago. So that might have been in the end. Someone probably sent that to someone at Pitt, and they're like, we got to fire this guy. Can't be asleep in a high school gym recruiting someone. That's not going to get anyone to come. So I think being in an NBA room like that probably sounds even more boring watching NBA tape.
Yeah.
So I don't think that'll save him. I think the only thing you can do is go on that coach's ESPNU when we're watching the national title game and there's like a round table of coaches. It's the David Cutcliffe thing, because people forget that David Cutcliffe coaches at Duke until he does a national championship broadcast where he sits around the table and he sounds smarter than everyone else.
Yeah.
It's like people are like, well, you got to play smart, fast, and physical. And he's like, well, they're running cover one right here. And they do this whole thing. So Stallings needs to do that. He needs to really lock in on tape and be ready for the national title game.
I have another suggestion. He should start a camp for coaches who want to learn how to be asshole coaches, because we've made this point before. The asshole coaches in college basketball are a dying breed. There just aren't any of them anymore. I mean, you got Mike Rice at Rutgers. He gets fired for throwing balls at people's faces. Like the one guy that's left is Frank Martin, but he's got like the soft side. They did the story on Frank Martin, like how he almost died at Kansas State. Like ESPN just put that story out, that whole video package, and they show like his soft side, and they're trying to do the thing where he's rough around the edges, but he's actually a nice guy. And they're just like the days of like the Bob Knight coach are long gone. And I think that's Kevin Stallings' angle here, is like we're a dying breed. I'm uniquely qualified to teach other coaches coming up how to be an asshole coach, how to take a team in the SEC to like a 6 seed in the NCAA tournament. Like, I can do this for you guys. I think that's his thing. That's what he needs to do.
It's like the Bobby Knight thing. It's like there's Dark Knight and there's White Knight, and there's like got to be a good 50-50 split. When Bob Knight was at the peak of his powers, it was like 50-50. It was like good Bob Knight as the great basketball coach, and then dark Bob Knight where he's just going to talk shit to you and make you feel like the smallest person on the planet. And like Frank Martin has toned it down to about 80% where he keeps it like pretty even keeled for the most part. But then sometimes they'll just snap. Right, and that's the most that we can get now in college.
Well,
basketball.
Frank Martin also he always brings it back around and will love his guys. And he'll get in the press conference.
Oh, he's crying.
Like, and he's
like Chris Silva is so important to me.
And that's the big move. Is like you just beat the shit out of your players, and then you do like the Tom Izzo, throw your arm around them on the sideline, and you're like, "But I love you. Just don't forget that.
I love that kid.
I hate you because I love you." You know. So anyway, Stallings, Stallball is dead. It's I'm not saying it's dead forever. I have hope that it'll come back. But if this is in fact dead, I think we'll be fine. Tate, you and I will find a way. There will be another coach that will rise from the ashes who will tell players that he'll fucking kill them and will hit home runs in softball games that he organizes against his players and hit half-court shots from behind the back.
What's really going to happen is he's going to be on the baseball circuit. His son Jacob,
the softball circuit.
His son plays like Double-A baseball or something. Jacob, so he's going to be around like minor league baseball games. He's going to be like at Carolina Mudcats games, and they're going to like pull him up. It's like former Vanderbilt and pitch coach Kevin Stallings in the building. Coach Stallings, how you doing? Well, I'm just out here watching my son Jacob. Blah, blah, blah.
Minor league first base coach Kevin Stallings.
Yes.
Are you there for that?
Of course.
We're getting to if he gets. Oh my. Make me a promise right now. If Kevin Stallings ever coaches any sport in any capacity ever again, we will be at his first game in person.
Yes.
And I will buy tickets right behind the bench. We're closest to him. I'll hold up signs.
We're talking like, Little League, YMCA, whatever it is, we'll be there.
It doesn't matter. So
he's a leader of men.
R.I.P. Kevin. Do you want to do a moment of silence for Kevin Stallings as well?
Let's do it.
All right. So the hits continue. This is a very depressing episode of just things that we have lost, Tate. It's like One Shining Podcast dead meme week or something. We lose Woody Durham. We lose Kevin Stallings. We also have now lost the Michael Porter Jr. mystery. The announcement comes out. As we first broke the story on this podcast, we said he would come back at some point this year.
Yes. Against Auburn.
To be honest, a little disappointed in our colleagues. Didn't give us credit for that. We said
no hat tip.
Yeah, we didn't get a H/T. H/T at One Shining Pie in parentheses.
Come on.
Oh my God.
Please give us that.
My God. No ethics in this industry anymore. So we said he'd come back for the SEC tournament. A lot of doubters, a lot of people saying, that there's no way that's actually happening. I think we may have even doubted ourselves at one point.
We doubted ourselves because we didn't want to get our hopes up. It was a defense mechanism against ourselves on this podcast. It wasn't because we didn't believe it. And then once it finally happens, we get the full Michael Porter Jr. treatment leading into the game, which is this is the most buzz in a building we've had at the SEC tournament since, I don't know, Herschel Walker showed up to a game in the 80s or something. That's what they were saying.
So his game, he plays Georgia. They're the 5 seed, Missouri was. Georgia's the 12 seed. The game is on SEC Network, which I think like the SEC tournament was doing like half SEC Network, half ESPN. So Sean Farnham's calling the game, and I thought it was hysterical because you could tell how excited Sean Farnham was. Like he had been assigned to this game that was bullshit that no one cared about. Georgia versus Missouri, who cares? Who's watching? You might get 10,000 people watching. And then Michael Porter's playing. He's like, oh, God, it's on. He knows that the whole country's watching this, and everyone wants to see Michael Porter. He gets really excited. ESPN starts showing graphics like, folks, Michael Porter Jr., you want to know about this kid? Let us tell you a few things. Number 1, McDonald's All-American. You ever heard of that? If you haven't, here's some other guys that are McDonald's All-Americans. I don't know. LeBron James. Ever heard of him? How about Kevin Durant? You ever heard Dwight Howard? And they just start like flashing all these guys. I actually don't think they showed Durant. They showed
no, they showed Dwight Howard.
Chris Webber was one of them.
The first one they showed was Alonzo Mourning.
Alonzo Mourning? Yeah. What? So they're doing their day, like trying to hype him up. He does not start, which kind of tipped me off right away.
I have a question. Yeah. So when we talk about Missouri basketball, the first thing they say to you is love Kwanzaa, which I will correct them and say you love Kwanzaa.
Yes.
Kwanzaa Martin does not exist anymore.
Kwanzaa Martin died. Yeah, he died.
When Jalen Brown and Ivan Rabb committed to California, Kwanzaa was like on the verge of death.
Yeah, he was near death's door, yeah.
And then as soon as they left, as soon as Rabb left, he was like, I am now Kwanzaa. I am leaving California. I'm going to Missouri.
Explain to the listeners the difference between Kwanzaa Martin and Kwanzaa Martin.
So Kwanzaa Martin was a former college basketball player that
at Purdue.
Gene
Katie disciple, like our boy Kevin Stallings.
Yes, Gene Katie disciple, which you made a great joke the other day that means what?
He's an asshole. Is that what I said?
Great line. So he's cut from that cloth, and Kwanzaa Martin's been going around. He's coached at Tennessee. Everyone remembers all these teams he's had. California was probably, I guess, the most prolific job he's had as far as people having eyeballs, because Jalen Brown was such a big recruit when he committed. Ivan Rabb was such a big recruit when he committed. He had Ty Wallace there. I mean, they had this team that was a 4 seed that a lot of people were kind of, hey, that's a dark horse team. Watch out for them in 2015, whatever. And then Wallace gets hurt in practice.
Right.
Brown leaves and goes to the NBA after a year, gets drafted by the Celtics. Rabb comes back. Rab's not that great. They don't make the tournament into the Kwanzaa era. And I think he learned a lesson from that. You know, he basically decided, I can't be this Kwanzaa character because it does not lead to winning.
Kwanzaa was like the player's coach. Like,
yes.
I'm
on your side,
I'm on your guys' side. Like, I'm just kind of, I'm the former player. I played at Purdue. Like,
I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, I got the player angle down. Yeah. Kwanzaa was the player. Konzo is, should we explain the joke that, like, his name is spelled Cuonzo, so it looks like Kwanzaa, but he actually pronounces it Konzo now.
Yes.
And I swear when he was at Purdue, it was Kwanzaa.
It has been Kwanzaa his entire existence until the past 2 years.
So we think he has changed his name to Konzo because now he's kind of like, he's this new persona of, like, he knows how to run game now as a coach. He knows how to drop bags. He knows how to, like, finesse there's a certain finesse that you need as a college basketball coach that Kwanzaa never had. But Konzo is starting to figure it out.
It seems like he was indebted to his players when he was Kwanzaa, and now he has the upper hand as Konzo.
So
that's the difference.
So as it pertains to Michael Porter Jr. coming back, so we know that Michael Porter Jr. is 100%. The doctors have said this since January.
Multiple doctors.
Every doctor in the world. You got, like, Dr. James Andrews hasn't even looked at him. He's just watching on TV. He's like, I saw him shoot around. It looks like 100%.
He gave him the Chuck Norris just thumbs up.
Dr. Phil is chiming in, tweeting, yeah, it looks good to me. Every doctor in the world is like, this guy is 100%. But then he comes off the bench, Tate. This guy was the top recruit until Bagley committed to Duke, until Bagley reclassified.
Yeah.
So we're talking like a guy who, coming into Missouri, was in the running for the best player in the country, -- draft pick, and he's coming off the bench at 100%.
And if you're thinking to yourself, well, of course, Michael Porter Jr., he hasn't played all year. We're at tournament time. All these teams, are in shape. All these players are ready to go. It makes sense he would come off the bench. I say to you, that's a fair point. That's fine. But then what's the second name that you've heard the entire year about Missouri basketball? Well, we haven't got Michael, but his brother Jonte, who sucks compared to Michael, is now all freshman SEC and is, quote-unquote, the best player on their team. Right. So I'm like, well, we're not going to get Michael Porter Jr. At least I'm going to see Jonte. And guess what? He's sitting next to his brother on the bench, who's sitting next to his dad on the bench. And I'm like, what is going on with this whole Porter family? Why do they not play? And why do we only talk about them?
He eventually gets in, Porter.
Yes.
Michael Porter. I don't know. First thing that stands out to me,
you don't like the number.
I don't like the number. I said this, that
not superstitious. You just don't like 13.
Yeah, he wears jersey number 13. That was a red flag to me. It just didn't look right on him. Didn't look like the superstar I needed. I don't know what I mean by that. You just kind of, I'm not against number 13. I think 13 works well for James Harden. I think that looks good on him.
Paul George.
Yeah, Paul George has made it work. Michael Porter doesn't look like a 13 to me. He looks like a number 1 to me. Yeah, maybe number 3. You could do the 1, you could do the 3. You put them together. I was like, I'm not buying it. This kid's not a star. But in all seriousness, he starts playing. He looks very, very rusty. He looks like he's just kind of like in a whirlwind. Doesn't know really, like, just trying to find his bearings. Is overwhelmed by the moment.
Be honest, what did he look like? He looked like an AAU basketball player that was playing his first real game of actual basketball, which is the whole point of the Michael Porter Jr. mystery in the first place, which was, there is a problem with a guy that is put up as a top 5 guy on your team, because if he's going to come in late, the only thing he can really do is hurt his draft stock. But if he decides to play, then that means that this is his last hurrah in college basketball. Right. As soon as we found out that he was going to play in this game, he's already put it out there that, like, he is going to leave Missouri and go to the NBA draft. And right now he's just trying to help his draft stock, or at least show that he is healthy and willing to be, to be drafted in the top 8 of the draft. So he comes in this game with already behind the 8 ball a little bit. And then we start this one, and all they can talk about is his frame, how athletic he is, how bouncy he is, how rangy he is, all these stupid things that they say. And he gets a fast break, a beautiful pass from his brother.
I jump out of my seat. I jump out of my seat.
Beautiful bounce pass, and you're like, brother to brother. This is the Porter on Porter we've been hearing about, and this is like the cock it back Marvin Bagley moment, the Trevon Duval moment, where you just cock it back, throw it down, everyone goes crazy, Sexton moment, whatever it is. and this guy barely lays it in and barely even gets up to the rim.
Grazes it with his fingertip, grazes the rim with his fingertips. And I think it was in that moment I realized this guy's a bust. No, yeah, like it was just, and then so we find out after the game. So Porter finishes 5 for 17, 12 points, 8 rebounds. Not a terrible game, but like as we said on the pod, like he shouldn't come back because this was exactly going to be the reaction. If he didn't do what Marvin Bagley did against Notre Dame and go for like 33 and 16 and just look like a man amongst boys, it was going to be a disappointment. We were going to like scratch our heads and be like, I wonder if he's really can he make the jump to the next level. And that's exact. So like 12 and 8 is not a bad first game. I'm not saying he was bad by any means, but it was definitely disappointing, especially all the hype that's been around this Missouri team. And Missouri's been good without him. And there's this understanding that like when Michael Porter comes back, look out. This is like an 8 seed that no one wants to play. They're gonna beat the 1 seed.
The way it was framed was that they had this ace in the hole, that they had a good solid core of players, and now we're gonna add the scoring punch with this star. And that is not what he offers at all. He offers a lot of shots.
With 4 minutes left in the game, it's like a tied game, and he's on the bench.
Yeah, Tillman's out there, Jeremiah
and
Tillman.
Then, so what they do is, like, after the game, they do the thing where they said he was only 65%.
No, they didn't say that. Michael Porter Jr. said that. A man that has had so many doctors looked at him, we don't even know who the doctors are at this point. Like, Doogie Howser is taking a look at this kid, and he's saying, I'm 65%, even though
like, what happened?
How many quotes do we have of him saying he's 100%?
So he lost 35%. Throughout the course of the game is what I heard.
Do you think warming up he just got so worn out that he was 65?
My God, he has no stamina whatsoever. So what told me, like he plays one game and he's down to 60. Like he plays 2 more games, the man's gonna die. Tate. He's gonna literally die.
It's R.I.P. Michael Porter.
I just didn't like to backtrack. It was like, we know what's going on here.
It sounds like a cover-up.
Yeah, you're saying 65% because you didn't like the way you played, which I don't know. He should not have come back and played. This is the point.
And we've seen this before. So last year, Harry Giles, friend of the program, has come on the show. The whole year, Harry Giles was in the top 5 of every draft board that you could see because he was the #1 player in the class. Jason Tatum was #2, and he was there. And Tatum was next to him looking unbelievable, looking like a real star in the NBA. But Giles is sitting out there. Like his knee is at 67%.
Yeah.
His knee's now at 73%. Ooh. Some are saying his knee's at 82%. And then he finally comes back. And the guy's averaging like 2.8 points per game. Everyone's like, this guy's a bust.
Back to 17%.
Yeah, they're like, how do we draft this guy? He has this one moment in the ACC tournament championship game with the breakaway and the big dunk, and then he ends up getting drafted 19th. But I contend that if Harry Giles had sat out the entire season last year for Duke and goes none and done and doesn't play, he's probably a top 7 draft pick.
Yeah, right.
Just because of the hype. And now Michael Porter Jr. has put himself in the same position as Giles, where now he's going to get really critiqued, and everyone's going to watch that tape because that's the only tape they have.
Absolutely. And it's only going to get worse from here because now his next game is going to be in the NCAA tournament, which is going to be even more eyeballs on him.
An 8 or 9 game, which is against another good team.
A tougher team, a bigger stage, like all that kind of stuff. And dare I say, maybe he's going to hang it up. Maybe that was it. Maybe he knows this. Maybe he's like, shit, that did not go well. And I'm going to say I'm back to 65. Like maybe he's going to throw in a few practices leading up to the NCAA tournament, and that 65 just starts chipping down. It's like he rolled his ankle, now he's at 50%, and then something else happens. Before you know it, he's like 33%, and he's like, I don't think I can go.
How's Michael looking tonight? He's about 10%.
This is a huge decision on Kwanzaa's shoulders because Kwanzaa
pulls him.
Yeah, Kwanzaa
pulls him to protect the draft pick. He's like, look, Michael, you're 65%. You just told all those media reporters.
Right.
I'm trying to make sure that me and you are on good terms, so when I have the next 5-star from your hometown that wants to come to my program, they know I'm going to take care of you. You should just sit out. Jonte's got it. This team's got it. Tillman can play.
Konzo's got a lot of things to weigh. Like, you got to,
What's the whole point of Michael Porter Jr. being at Missouri for Konzo? It's to prove that I can get – it's the Calipari method of Kentucky. It's like I have to get John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins and this whole group in there to prove that I can do this. I can take you to the next level where you're a top 14 draft pick.
The Calipari method of I don't care about my current team.
Yes.
My favorite team that exists is always my next year's team.
Yes.
That's always the team that I care the most about is the next year's team. Yeah. So this will be interesting to see how they play it. But I guess the Michael Porter Jr. mystery, is it still alive? Is that what you're telling me?
We can revive it? Yeah. Yes, bring it back.
All right, Tate, one more thing that we have to talk about that I don't want to dub this like the death episode because like Woody Durham actually did die, and I guess that sort of seems a little strong.
We're paying homage to Woody Durham. These guys, this is all in context of what it means for the season of college basketball.
These are the things that we love that have left us. And I think one more needs to be mentioned. and that is Trae Young. We have hinted at this. We have kind of checked back in on our guy every so often throughout the season. Did a little status update. His heart rate monitor was still beeping every so often. We check back in, and it's like, yep, still beeping. Trae Young shoots 22 times, scores 21 points. Or maybe I got that backwards, against Oklahoma State in the first round of the Big 12 tournament.
Doesn't matter.
Oklahoma is now maybe out of the tournament. Trae Young is flatlined. It's over. It does. It's got to be over. The one hope at this point is that Oklahoma gets the play-in game. Like the NCAA, the selection committee says, we want Oklahoma to play Arizona State in the play-in game because that would be an insane play-in game. It'd be a ton of offense. It'd be really exciting. People would eat that shit up. So that's like the one hope, but I don't think Oklahoma should belong in the tournament. I would say they're out at this point.
And they played that game in Dayton, right? They put the playing games are in Dayton. So if we get that in Dayton, that would be insane, especially for Dayton's obviously not going to be in the tournament this year, missing Archie. So that would be fun for them to have that game. I think Trae Young, and I call him Young and the Restless, he's going to be shook for the next few months because he's not going to get this NCAA tournament run, which is really the defining factor. And it goes back to how much stock do you really put into the tournament with these guys. I mean, I don't really care about the NBA draft talk when it comes to this sort of stuff. I just sort of want to put in context of remembering the college basketball season, because there was a point in time early January where one of the first 4 or 5 things you say about this season was Trae Young.
Right.
Like, it had to be a part of the conversation.
It was the first thing. It was like the only thing. This is the Trae Young season. And I guess this is the larger point I want to flesh out here is, do you think it matters in terms of the National Player of the Year discussion that I don't think there's any question, no matter what happens from here, and I guess I should sort of walk that back. Like, if something crazy, if Colin Sexton pulls a Kimba and leads Alabama to the national title game,
which he's slowly doing in front of our eyes,
kind of doing. I guess if that happens, maybe. But like anything that you could realistically predict to happen from here, no matter what scenario plays out, I think 10 years from now, people will look back on the 2018 season as the Trae Young season. Like, this is his season. He owned this season like Morrison and Redick owned their season. Like the Anthony Davis owned his season.
Like Durant owned his season.
Yeah, like Greg Oden owned his season, exactly. That Durant season. But no, so I think like that sort of matters to me because those sorts of things to me, the Jimmer season is another great example. And the question becomes, does that matter to you, Tate, in terms of like trying to determine National Player of the Year? Because there's a huge push for Jalen Brunson. I think Jalen Brunson is going to win National Player of the Year, which I am very much against. Jalen Brunson, I don't even think he's the best player on his own team. I think Mikal Bridges is the best player on Villanova.
And I think it's Phil Booth.
Yeah, do you think it's Phil Booth? And that like speaks like Jalen Brunson is getting this push for National Player of the Year. And if you hold a gun to every single person that's like, Jalen Brunson is the best player in the country, if you hold a gun to their head and ask them like, do you really think Jalen Brunson is the best player in the country? No one's gonna say yes,
unless they're really informed and locked in, or they're from the Philadelphia area.
And I'm not even saying Trae Young is better than. I'm saying if you don't want to do Trae Young, Brunson's not the guy. It's have you seen DeAndre Ayton play basketball? Have you seen Marvin Bagley play basketball? I would even be willing to like listen to Devonte Graham over Jalen Brunson. And there's nothing against Jalen Brunson. You and I both think Villanova is probably the best team in the country right now. We've been on the Villanova thing all year. Like even when they've kind of struggled, we're like, I still think they're good. But anyway.
So all that to be said is that we don't even know, like, if you look at the top teams, right? So Virginia, right? Like, that's the best team in the country right now as soon as we wrap up the season. You go to that team. Do we have a National Player of the Year candidate? No, we don't.
Right.
So next, we're going to go to Villanova. So I feel like it's a domino effect how we're doing it. It's like, well, Trae Young is not going to be the guy now, even though he led the country in points and assists all season. Somehow that's been degraded down to he had a shitty season.
Right.
Like people have already gotten to the point where they forget that he still leads the nation in points and rebounds or assists and probably averages 4 or 5 rebounds too. I mean, the guy's everywhere and runs this whole Oklahoma offense. And now he's almost become undervalued in the aspect of the season, which I don't understand.
Well, here's my problem with the Jalen Brunson National Player of the Year campaign is that if someone says Jalen Brunson deserves to be National Player of the Year, my question to them would then be, okay, make your case. And I feel like the very first thing out of everyone's mouth would be like, well, Trae Young has actually been having a bad second half. And I was like, it has nothing to do with Trae Young. Make your case for Jalen Brunson. Do not mention Trae Young's name. Make your case for Jalen Brunson. They'd be like, well, Villanova's been a really good program. He's just steady. He plays good defense. He's averaging like 19 points. That's pretty good. But if you did like a draft of players in this college basketball season, no one in their right mind's taking Jalen Brunson number 1. And no one, freaking Jay Wright wouldn't even take Jason Brunson number 1. You would take Mikal Bridges. He's better. You think Phil Booth's better. I mean, I really, really like Jalen Brunson. I would want Jalen Brunson to be the point guard of my team. Please, Jalen, please make that happen. There's nothing against him. It's just I find the National Player of the Year discussion very fascinating because even if Jalen Brunson sweeps the awards, and it feels like he's going to, it feels like that's become the pick. He's got the late momentum push. No one's going to remember this as the Jalen Brunson year. Everyone's going to forget. They're going to be like, oh, shit, Trae Young didn't win National Player of the Year, so like Bagley won it. It's like, well, actually, Bagley didn't win it either. He's like Alondo Tucker. That it's like we got Durant and Oden, and then everyone's voting for Alondo Tucker from Wisconsin because they're like having a great year, and he's just this steady scorer. You're like, what the what?
Yeah, it's an individual award, and I think that's what's happening right now. When I was talking about the domino effects, we're trying to give an individual award to a great team. We're trying to. It's like we're doing the Kyle Guy thing. We're like, what's the face of this team? Okay, well, he deserves the award for this.
Yeah,
I think the best argument that you have, and these are two different cases, and they're totally separate. Devonte Graham is a great argument, and I could see where people were like, well, Devonte Graham is the worst version of Jalen Brunson. I think the reason that he has a case is 14 straight conference titles. I know that nobody cares about this sort of stuff anymore, and people, kind of think it's a diatribe to try to beckon back to the John Wooden days. But to break any record that John Wooden or Pete Maravich or any of these guys from that time, you've done something phenomenal, especially in the modern era. And Devonte Graham was the face of Kansas basketball and basically had to take over a team where he had been second fiddle forever. I mean, this guy completely switched roles. And a lot of times, I mean, we've seen that even with his Carolina team this year with Joel Berry. Joel Berry is the number one guy. Justin Jackson was number one on scouting reports last year.
Right.
That's why Joel Berry inherently became the number one guy because they were guarding Justin Jackson as the number one guy. Graham's been guarded like the number one guy. He's played out of his mind. He's been assisting at a level that I have never seen him. I mean, his energy is unbelievable. What he's done in Allen Fieldhouse. I mean, obviously we saw this Oklahoma State game, and he didn't play his best. But that team around him, I mean, they have no big men really. I mean, Azubuike has been hurt. They lost Billy Preston. Like, it's a guard-oriented team, and he has to lead that team. And I think there's a huge case to be made for Graham and what he's been able to do as the number one guy. But all that aside to say, I could see where you could put Graham and Brunson in the same argument. You throw them to the side. You're like, these are the two senior leaders. They have great teams. That's its own conversation. Bagley's the guy.
Bagley has to be the guy.
And I say this as, as apologetic as I can to anyone that really cares about Carolina basketball, but Marvin Bagley has been sensational from day one. And I remember when Harrison Barnes came out, and he came into school, and he was the first guy that was an AP first-team All-American, and people lost their shit. And he didn't live up to that at all. But Marvin Bagley has been first-team All-American since he got the first pass at Cameron Indoor. He has been unstoppable. He has looked otherworldly. He has looked like he does not belong in college basketball.
Yes.
He has looked like he floats in the air. He has looked like a relic pulled out of the past of a supreme talented basketball player, and he's thrown into modern basketball. It doesn't even look like it's believable. I've seen the guy play in real life, and I thought he looked like shit because he shot threes the entire time. And then I watched him play at Duke, and I'm like, the guy wasn't even playing basketball when I watched him play. He was just screwing around, having a good time. He can take it up to another level. He had 33 and 17 yesterday.
Yeah.
And he's only going to do that even more. And I say this all as a precursor until they play North Carolina later today, and I'm probably going to be, echoing the sentiment after he dominates that game. He's unstoppable. He's got to be the National Player of the Year at this point, and I don't understand how there's any other argument.
Well, I guess that speaks to the whole idea of the buzz around a certain player and how I said this is the Trae Young season. There have been moments. I've had moments with you. I've had moments with other friends of mine that follow college basketball where I would text them, "Did you see what Bagley just did?
Yeah.
Are you seeing this?" And I've done that with Bagley. I've done that with DeAndre Ayton. I've done that with Trae Young. When was Jalen Brunson's moment? He's had good games. He's had very good games. He at Marquette, I want to say he lit up Marquette for 30-something. He's had good games, but I don't feel like Jalen Brunson eclipsed that level where it was like, everybody shut everything down. Please stop everything you're doing. Go to Twitter and look at what Jalen Brunson did last night or anything like that. And Bagley's had 5 or 6 games like that where it's just like, who the hell is this guy? Where did he come from? Who is his daddy and what does he do? This is unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. And not only that, I mean, the guy has a lottery pick next. I think the thing with Trae Young is it hurts him because he has a team, right? It hurts him because the season kind of just collapsed on top of him. But Wendell Carter sitting next to Marvin Bagley, you have another lottery pick right next to you. You have Bolden coming off the bench, which is apparently going to be a guy that's going to be drafted in the NBA someday. I don't necessarily believe that, but people do. You have Grayson Allen, who people believe will be in the NBA one day.
Right.
I don't believe that. Other people do. He has all this quote unquote talent around him. and he is still heads and shoulders above everyone else.
I've said it to you. I've said it to others. He is. I haven't felt like this with a player since Anthony Davis. That I watch him on a college basketball court, and I said he has no business being on a college basketball court. Get him out. He's got to go. If this was like a 6th grade rec team, like all the dads would conspire against like this guy play. We got to figure out a way to get him out of this league. Like he's ineligible. There's something going on. Get him out of here.
And I say all this to say he's not even supposed to be playing college basketball.
Yeah, he's supposed to still be in high school.
Supposed to be in high school. He's doing this at this level, and he's supposed to be in high school.
I guess that's the other part that's awesome about Bagley is like just how great of a student he is that he could skip an entire year of high school. Transfer across the country to one of the most prestigious private schools in the country. That's amazing. He really puts the student athlete, that Marvin Bagley. We love that.
I think he puts the bag.
So who he's your national player of the year? Bagley is.
I think Bagley has to be.
I think I would go Bagley too. I would probably go Bagley, Trae Young, 1A, 1B. I still believe in. I mean, the stats are insane. I can't get over that. But Bagley is probably my guy at this point.
And I will say he won ACC. He won ACC Player of the Year. And I even argued on this podcast, I didn't think he deserved to win it because he missed 4 ACC games.
Yeah.
But then I looked at the numbers, and he still is at the top of all his stuff, and he missed 4 games, and then you just can't even make the argument. It's just been unbelievable.
Remember when we thought Bagley might sit out the rest of the year? Those were more fun times, weren't they?
By God, Marvin, sit out.
What are you doing?
Sit
Marvin,
out.
Please sit out tonight before the Tar Heels play.
You don't need to play. You're a top 5 pick.
Speaking of them playing, so for those that are listening, we're recording this before the Duke-Carolina game. If you're wondering why we're not talking about how Marvin Bagley ripped Tate's heart out yet again, for the second time in 6 days.
Just know I'm wearing an Ed Cota jersey, and all I'm thinking about is Woody Durham quotes.
Trust me when I say we're going to get to that on the next pod when we talk about Marvin Bagley, how he did disgusting
No, it'll be
things.
Selection Sunday.
Yeah,
we'll forget about it.
We'll move on. So the ACC tournament's going on, the SEC tournament's going on, the Big East tournament's going on. My question to you, Tate, is I know you're an ACC guy. Mm-hmm. Which tournament is it the ACC that has caught your – take North Carolina out, take your alma mater out of it, pretend that they don't exist. Which tournament to you right now that's going on right now has your attention the most?
I think it's between the SEC and the ACC. And I think the cool thing to do now is because – all these years, it's sort of like what the ACC is in football now. It's like the second conference, the second premier conference that always been kind of like tossed to the side. Like, well, they're not the ACC. Like the SEC is like the cool pick, the trendy pick to talk about SEC teams. Like, well, wait till you see Auburn. You know?
Yeah, right.
That's what everyone's doing now. So there's a lot of interest, more interest, I'd say. I mean, Michael Porter Jr. obviously draws eyeballs to the SEC. To me, though, I think it has to be the ACC tournament because it's been in Brooklyn.
And the heart of ACC.
The heart of ACC country. But there was actually a moment, and I want to talk about Notre Dame a little bit, and I want to talk about our guy, Matty Ice.
Please, let's keep the theme going of just things that I love that are leaving me. And,
a man that's leaving college basketball that we both love, and it's a tag team duo, one of the best in the country. Matt Farrell, and his partner in crime, Bonzie Colson. Notre Dame, they made a nice little run, and I will start with this. First of all, R.I.P. Matt Farrell, and this is how I didn't want him to go out, and this is how he went out. First of all, he went out losing to Duke, which was terrible. But he also went out doing a Duke thing, to Virginia Tech. And what he did was Chris Clark, we all love his hairdo. He's unbelievable for Virginia Tech. He's amazing. Had some big moments this season. It's a tie basketball game. There's a foul called. Chris Clark has the ball in his hand. Matt Farrell... And we've seen this at a YMCA pickup. You see this all the time. There's just like a super aggressive guy, usually white, that's trying to be scrappy. And he's trying to do something to get on your nerves, like a little thing to get under and pry your skin a little bit. So he comes over and he rips the ball out of Chris Clark's hands. And so Clark sits there for a second, and he's like, dude, back up. So he pushes him like, dude, get out of here. Like, back up. You don't need to do that. And Matt Farrell pulls an Eddie Redmayne and literally just falls into the cameras as if he just got pushed as hard as he can by like a freaking Wendell Carter or something. And he flops all the way back into the cameras. He acts like he's hurt. They get a technical foul on Chris Clark. Notre Dame makes the free throw, gets the ball back. That's the end of the game. That's how Virginia Tech loses the game. And Chris Clark, after the game, he's talking about Matt Farrell. He said he's a flopper. He flopped really hard. He sold it to the refs. It's a Tech. I wasn't surprised, but I'm impressed with the show he put on, which I thought was a pretty direct quote. And I say all this to say I'm a man and a fan of Duke basketball and what it used to be. That they're a relic of the past. They're not the same. They've sold their soul once again to this new age of basketball and college basketball. Notre Dame is carrying the water for what Duke used to be, and so is Mike Bray. And this is one of the best flops I've seen as far as impacting a game. I was not a fan of it because I'm not a fan of flopping. But just the fact that this guy was able, Matt Farrell, our guy, Matty Ice, to flip a game entirely, jumping into cameras to sell a push after he initiated the whole thing. It was a very Duke move. I hate it that that's the last thing I'm going to see him do in college basketball, but luckily it's not.
Is it? Because the silver lining to this is our dream of Matt Farrell and Bonzie Colson playing in the 3-on-3 tournament that we're hosting at the Final Four is very much alive. Notre Dame is not making the tournament. I wanted Notre Dame in the tournament because they're fun. I like Matt Farrell. I did, like you said. He's just like...
I love Matt Farrell. I don't know what happened this season. I hashed it up to injuries.
What happened?
Do you think it was the disease of Moore? He just had so many Elite Eights. He's just like, screw it.
I think he was more interested in doing humanitarian work than basketball. Tate. That was my take. It was just he was more interested. He's got to get his priorities straight.
You're right.
Yeah, so Bonzie Colson comes back. Like, Notre Dame was playing well. I really thought like we had something special in them in this ACC tournament. They were going to beat Duke. I thought they had the run in them to make the tournament. They're not going to make the tournament. They're on the wrong side of the bubble. I don't even think they're really on the bubble at this point. I think most people are like, yeah, they're very much out. I
think everyone had them just on the list to be nice.
Yeah,
like, just sort of like we know
Mike Bray's a good guy.
Yeah, Mike Bray's a good
guy. But they are going to be in the 3-on-3 tournament, hopefully. I have a feeling your Carolina boys are going to try to steal the spot because they're not making the final. We know that. So like Joel Berry and Theo Pinson are going to try to get a spot.
You hear that?
Do you think Grayson's going to play in it?
What?
Because like Grayson out, like they put out the watch list, the 3-on-3 watch list.
Yeah, the 4 people that are on the ACC team are Theo Pinson, Joel Berry, Grayson Allen, and Bonzie Colson, which is an immaculate 4. I mean, that's a foursome.
That's a good foursome.
That's a fearsome foursome, but there's no way that all 4 of those guys are ever going to be there. We know Bonzie will probably be there.
Is Grayson really going to play in this if Duke loses and doesn't make the Final Four? There's 0% chance.
One can only hope that Grayson plays, trips someone in front of us.
That'd be awesome.
And then we get to interview him, a first reaction.
That'd be awesome. So the answer to my own question I had for you is which tournament you're most excited about.
Yeah, which tournament are you most excited about? I know which one you're most excited about.
SEC.
Of course.
100% SEC. And
typical journalist.
What's funny is that I wasn't really on the SEC this year. Like the SEC was good, but the SEC to me was a bunch of B+ teams. And they were all pretty good. Like,
oh, you mean like Auburn and Tennessee who won the league?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like there's nothing exciting. Like I will acknowledge that, the 8th best team in the SEC would beat the shit out of the 8th best team in the Big Ten. But I still feel like the Big Ten was more interesting because you actually have teams that can win the national title, and you actually have. So I never felt like there's a reason to really watch the SEC other than every now and then to make jokes about Kentucky, whether they were doing well or not. But this has been great, man. Michael Porter Jr.'s back.
Yes.
And now he lost.
His actual back, or he is back.
Colin Sexton, we need to call our shot now. Colin Sexton is giving us Kimba vibes. We were on the Bill Simmons podcast, hosted by Bill Simmons. We were on his podcast, and he was asking us sort of like sleeper teams we like in the NCAA tournament, and we brought up Alabama because you and I are on the same page with this. They check the Kimba Walker boxes of the team that plays great defense and has like the stud guard that you just throw the ball to and say, go score for us.
And
right?
Let's be honest, we also love bringing up any team that has a former NBA coach in college basketball because it blows Bill's mind.
Yeah. He's like, what?
Avery Johnson.
Avery Johnson. What? So we bring him up, but then it also looked like a little ballsy of a pick because Alabama was on the wrong side of the bubble.
Yes.
But what happens, Tate? The SEC tournament starts. Colin Big Dick Sexton. Oh my God, this man.
The floater heard around the roll. I mean,
the finger roll.
Yeah,
he finger rolls it for the win. He scored
from the free throw line.
He scores the first bucket to put Alabama ahead, and he scored to give Alabama 69 points. Sexton scored to score 69. And then Alabama gives up the layup to they lose the lead. We're like, shit. There we go. Like, is Alabama in? You and I are looking at each other like, what's going to happen here? Sexton just takes the ball, shoots a finger roll. Unbelievable shot. Wins it at the buzzer for Alabama. And like the swag that he has, and this is why we love him, is like he's a B+ talent. He's limited with his abilities, but my God, is that man confident in himself, and he's so fun to watch. And then he follows it up today, hangs 31-7 on Auburn, on the number 1 seed Auburn Tigers. gets Bruce Pearl pissed off. Bruce Pearl tries to fight Alabama's strength coach after the game. I'm into this SEC tournament, man. We got Kentucky playing. Like, they were tied with Georgia as we started recording this. I don't know what's going on there. Is Mark Fox saving his job? I'm so into this. You got Sean Farnham and Joe Tessitore calling these games. I'm here for it. You got Andy Kennedy,
Yeah, Andy Kennedy, Ole Miss.
Andy Kennedy he's doing studio work, and they said they threw it to him after one of these games, and he said, oh, it was after the Missouri game, after Missouri misses the 3. And he kind of looks in the camera and he's like, well, this is a make or miss game, this is our make or miss shots business that we're in.
Yes.
And you know how I feel about that. Like,
I'm
a make or miss guy as well. Yes. So he says that, I'm like, dude, this SEC tournament's just sucked me in. So I'm here for the SEC tournament, man.
I don't blame you. Speaking of Calipari, we saw like a little clip that they showed when he was at practice, and he splits the two teams up, and he's talking about Quade Green, and I thought this was nice. He said he needs to conquer himself, and he's going to have a 25, 30-point outing.
Yeah.
We always make fun of the Trey Young like stat tracker, where they do his points to the side. We should do that for Quade Green for the rest of the tournament.
Let me look at how many points Quade Green has right now, because again, we're recording this live. We'll give you a little peek behind the curtain. We're recording this as the Kentucky Georgia game is going on. Let me pull it up.
I just wonder if that's ever worked for Cal. Has he ever like promised the player on his team that they're going to have a 25 to 30-point outing, and then it actually happened? Because it seems like he's just giving Quade Green the green light to go out there and shoot a bunch of shots, and that sounds terrible.
Hold on.
How many does he have?
Hold on. First of all, this is great. I'm glad that we're doing this live. So Kentucky's up 54-41. There's about 6:42 left according to my phone. I don't know. Maybe my service is a little behind. But Kentucky's up 13. So I'm like, I go to click on the score. Maybe Quade's having a good game after all. Let's see what he's doing. Quade Green's stats: 0 points, 0 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 fouls. He's 0 for 5.
This man promised that Quade was going to have a 25 to 30-point game. Because he had to, so I guess he hasn't conquered himself yet.
You know what this tells me? Cal in the post game, he's gonna talk. Quade is definitely one of his kids. He is not one of his guys. This is a these kids game from Quade.
He's like, we got one kid out there, Green, that we thought he was gonna have a big day today, but didn't quite put it together. I really love that. So yeah, I think there's been a lot of good storylines at the SEC tournament. I think the main one though is Sexton is going to take over the whole country pretty soon.
I think so.
Like if they win this SEC tournament leading in, like we're going to get the full live shot with Alabama and Avery Johnson. Avery's going to be everywhere talking to people on ESPN. Like this is going to be the first time that the Alabama program under Avery is going to be at the forefront of conversation.
Right.
And I'm really excited about it.
All right, Tate, we got to call an audible here. We had some other stuff planned, but this is kind of massive news. You and I have been on the Rick Pitino beat for a little while. Mm-hmm. Jeff Goodman, who friend of the program, we make fun of him a lot on here because he's easy to make fun of for his journalistic integrity. Going over to Lithuania, he's been cut out by the Ball family. Tate, LeVar Ball said, "I'm going to freeze out Jeff Goodman. No more interviews. I'm done with him." And Jeff Goodman, he delivered his lines perfectly in that scripted.
You were telling me that he was like a part of the reality show that they announced that they were getting rid of him. So it's one of those things. He's like the Scott Disick of the LeVar Ball show.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's been and he reads his lines perfectly when LeVar asks him to. He's been cut off of the balls. He's had his balls cut off. And so now I guess he's on the Rick Pitino beat, and he breaks this news. And I know this is all I know. This is all I'm seeing is what Kyle texted us. Hires an agent, tells ESPN he wants to coach again, and will turn everything, phone records, emails, voice message, over to any school that wants to hire him. What do we make of this?
First thought to me is, first of all, Rick Pitino didn't have an agent.
Yeah, who was the guy that called the press conference in the first place? Was
Rick Pitino so in the bag at Adidas that he didn't even have an agent? He's like, I don't want to cut up any of this shit. He's like, nobody's getting any of these percentages. So that's crazy that Rick Pitino's never had an agent. I guess he's just always been so marketable. He didn't need anyone to go in the room for him. So that's interesting to me. The second thing is, all right, if this is an FBI case, right? Don't they have the right to all of his messages and all of his email? So that's like their evidence,
right?
So now he is saying that he is, instead of giving it to the FBI, is he just trying to set this thing up where he's like, I can't give it to you, I gave it to Arizona State. I can't give it to you, I gave it to USC. I can't give it to you. So he's trying to just give it to someone else. He's trying to misplace the evidence.
I thought the FBI would already have his evidence.
I don't think they have it.
They don't have
they don't have it.
And what and a guy voluntarily, like, I'm confused by who is buying this bullshit. He's like, I'm going to voluntarily, like,
Pepperdine.
I'm going to voluntarily turn over all of my stuff as though there is any chance in hell that there would actually be incriminating stuff, and he would volunteer. Like if there is something incriminating, because we should say there is a chance that Rick Pitino, completely innocent in everything that's ever happened. He slipped on a banana peel in that Italian restaurant, and next thing you know, one thing led to another, and he found himself in a sticky situation. That could have been the case, Tate. But even if that is true, and he's completely innocent, like who is buying this that he would just that there's any scenario where he just willingly gives up everything? And I don't know what I'm
Who
saying.
wants to read this? Who wants to go through the process of like, okay, Rick, thanks. We want to hire you, but first, let me go through all of your text messages, emails, phone calls for the next 20
What
minutes.
kind of pervert wants to say something like that?
I don't want to see your sext. I don't want to see you talking to Colin Sexton. I don't want to see any of this stuff that you've been doing over the past few years. Like, what the is that, Rick? Will you just give me homework?
Oh, man. I hope he comes back. Why does this man want to coach so badly? There are other ways to get vindication that you're after.
Let's be honest. The 2013 thing, I don't even think it's the FBI. I don't even think it's being fired. I don't think it's the FBI. I don't think that's bothered Rick at all. I think that has all gone over his shoulder. I think obviously not being at Louisville hurts him a little bit, but the thing that hurts him is losing that 2013 title.
Right.
And I think all he really cares about is somehow getting another chance, getting his Steve Fisher opportunity to go somewhere else, find someone, and then just really make a run. I mean, he's trying to do like what Larry Brown did, which is like, I just need one last hurrah.
Get hired by Penny Hardaway at Memphis?
Yeah, that'd be great. That's another example. Like, what if Rick Pitino just goes and is like the second in command, like what Steve Robinson does, where you just like you're a former head coach and you just sit next down in a big program.
So if you're a head coach, would you hire Rick Pitino to be your top assistant and trust how much? Give me a number on how much you would trust that he's not trying to stab you in the back and take your job.
Let's be honest.
Force you out.
He would be the one-eyed monster looming over your shoulder, waiting for you.
People
to
forget
die.
he's blind.
He is blind in one eye.
Now here's the question: can we get a physical with all of this evidence?
Ooh,
because Rick has made it clear his health is struggling.
Left eye, not going to work.
He's blind in one eye, as you said. He is the one-eyed monster. If he cannot see, how can he coach? Or is his eye better now? Did his eye magically heal after the press conference? Also, you have to also factor in the 9/11 weighing on him.
Oh, the building. His friend. Yeah, he's got all that. He's got a lot of emotional baggage and actual baggage of text messages and printed out emails that he has to give you.
Can he coach under those circumstances? 9/11 as of 2 weeks ago was still weighing on him very heavily.
It does seem a little ironic that as soon as the pit job opens up, Rick Pitino is quick to put out there that not only does he have an agent that you can call and reach out to him, but he's also willing to put all of his dirty laundry out there to the world. He's like, I am not afraid for any program to see what I've been doing, And they're like, Rick, we really don't want to know what you've been doing. We'd rather not know. Whatever it takes not to know what you've been doing, Rick. And he's still going to put it in their face.
Is there any chance that he ends up at a power school? I honestly, I think there is. I think there's a chance that, because like, if you actually, so I've been listening to Dick Vitale too much. I'm getting sucked into the Rick may be innocent thing, but
I think everybody's innocent.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like,
is everyone innocent?
What if everyone's innocent?
No bad guys?
What if we're the bad guys, Tate? No, like I think Rick is going, like, he's very adamant about getting back into coaching. We know this. He's made it clear. He's going to spend every cent he has. He's going to spend every second he has trying to figure out a way to he's whether he's innocent or not, he's going to do just an image overhaul and say, like, hire the best lawyers that he needs to prove that the dirt that people have on him isn't really dirt at all. That's what he's going to try to do, is to be like, listen, you know how everyone is freaking out about the Sean Miller thing? How about you take a look at my case and the Brian Bowen situation? I'm not implicated like everyone thinks I am. And then people are going to like actually look at that and be like, yeah, it's a good point. Like, I guess he does actually sort of have an alibi with the Brian Bowen thing. And then they're going to look at that one and be like, okay, we see where you're coming from. They're going to look at the prostitute thing and they're going to be like, okay, I sort of see what you're saying, Rick. Like, you're not directly implicated. You did, that was your rogue assistant that did this.
Yeah,
who's to say? They're going to look at the Italian restaurant and be like,
wait, what?
We'll forgive that. We can forget. We can look past that. Well, listen, we're not hiring you to be a good guy. We're hiring you to win basketball games. So I actually think there's a shot, like an Ole Miss, for example. I think Ole Miss, like a program like that like doesn't really have a ton of history, is in a bag dropping conference.
You're saying all these things, and I think you're burying the lead. You just brought up Memphis.
Oh, that's true.
You just brought up Memphis.
Shit.
And everyone's
Ole
talking
Miss,
about
Memphis with Penny Hardaway and Rick Pitino
and Larry Brown.
Oh my God, dude, we got to make this happen. How
do
we
imagine?
make this happen? Holy shit!
Oh,
so you
man.
have the
Duffels
report
everywhere.
for those, because a lot of people listen to us that don't follow college basketball. We should give them the peg here of what the story we're talking about. Reports are surfacing that Penny Hardaway is making a run at the Memphis job that is not open as of now.
Yeah, poor Tubby Smith's like winning games for Memphis on buzzer beaters.
I want a goddamn national title. What is happening here?
Can I get some respect? Like, literally, can I get any respect from you guys? You guys let Josh Pastner just sit around here and do nothing for 5 years, and you guys are being mean to me.
Everybody's scheming to get Tubby Smith out of Memphis, including Penny Hardaway, who, lest anyone forget, played Butch McRae in the movie Blue Chips.
Yes.
Literally played a character that was the recipient of bag drops and is now trying to get a head coaching job in college
It was like, is my mom going to lose her job if I leave school?
Yeah.
And he's like, I mean, probably.
So he's going to Memphis. Dude, if we got Pitino, Pitino's got to go to Ole Miss. It has to happen. Pitino versus Penny and Larry, and the other part of the story, by the way, was Penny Hardaway is talking about putting Larry Brown on staff
for guidance and counsel. And we know that Larry Brown has been in China coaching. We talked about it on the podcast before. And if he was able to get back into college basketball in whatever backhanded way it is, and I think I would love for Rick Pitino and Larry Brown to start a new trend where we get these just really well-renowned coaches that have sort of like fallen by the wayside. Like, what if Jim Calhoun came back and was an assistant coach or something?
Incredible.
You know? I mean, or Gary Williams came back and was just like your top assistant.
Bob Knight gives it one more run. He's like, I got one more season in me.
He comes back with Pat. It's like the 1, 2, 3, just sitting on the bench. I just think this is a whole new trend that could possibly happen in college basketball. And there's nothing better, you know? There's really nothing better.
Oh my God! If Rick Pitino goes to Ole Miss, and it could actually happen. It could happen. Rick Pitino goes to Ole Miss. Penny Hardaway goes to Memphis. That is going to be the greatest rivalry college basketball has ever seen.
And the best thing, I have this pulled up now about this this agent that he hired. So the guy Bazant that he hired, he reps a bunch of TV analysts too. So people have implied that maybe Rick's trying to get on TV. So that was asked, and no. He rules out he's not going to TV. He's trying to get a job as a head coach. So that's a good qualifier for Rick Pitino is back, folks. So we lose Stallings, but we get Pitino possibly back. We maybe get Larry Brown back. See, it's all turnover. As you lose things, you gain things in life.
From the ashes, there's always another coach for us.
The Phoenix.
The Phoenix.
The one-eyed monster, Rick Pitino.
I love it. I just checked on Quaddy Green stats, by the way. He still has 0 points.
Still 0. Good for Quaddy.
So, Rick Pitino, we love you. Please come back to us. What do you have any shout-outs before we go? Yeah, let's do a couple shout-outs. First off, I want to shout out Roy Williams and Theo Pinson in their press conference yesterday. 3-0
Pinson, my nickname for him. 100% from 3. We've always joked about 3-0 not being able to make threes.
He didn't miss that game?
Didn't miss from 3.
Oh, my God.
And the man's jacking like fadeaway threes. Like these aren't just like wide open.
If you're playing
within
North Carolina and Theo Pinson hits his second 3 against you,
it's game over.
Quit.
Yeah, see you later.
I would just at that point it's just like just save our energy.
We're going home.
We're going home.
So Roy started the press conference after they win the game yesterday against Miami, and he goes, it was a weird game. Not really sure what happened out there, but glad the boys came out with the win. And meanwhile, Theo, this is the best game of his entire career. He's been there 4 years with Roy Williams. They have a little bit of a back-and-forth relationship, kid around a bunch. And Theo goes, he would say it was a weird game when I have 25 and 11. And it was hilarious. So shout out to Theo Pinson.
I want to shout out Kevin O'Neal, who was doing work. Kevin O'Neal, my favorite Kevin O'Neal story used to be how he appeared in Hoop Dreams, and he was recruiting the guys in Hoop Dreams, and he goes into the living room and they show Kevin O'Neal giving his recruiting pitch, and he puts the video in the VCR, and it plays Marquette basketball highlights to the song I've had the time of my life.
Is Chris Farley in it?
And this man is in inner city Chicago trying to recruit kids with that video. That used to be my favorite Kevin O'Neal story. My new favorite Kevin O'Neal story is that he was doing studio desk work for the Pac-12 network. I think they were on location. I think it was like a situation where they're like outside of the arena at Vegas, but they got the little desk setup. Kevin O'Neal's at the desk doing the pregame, postgame work. He is wearing, Tate, 3 rings, like 3 championship massive size rings on his 2 hands. And I just want to shout out Kevin O'Neal. He's working hard to tell the people, like, I have won things. Lest anyone forget, I have won things. And I coached at Arizona, and I did not drop bags. And you did not give me the job. It was an interim thing. How dare you?
That's like me wearing a resume on my chest or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's pretty much what he's doing with his hands there, which is very strange. I want to shout out Yante Maton. This is a man that I mispronounced his name for 2 years, and now I'm all in on Yante Maton. Great game against Michael Porter Jr. yesterday. I know Georgia's about to lose to Kentucky, but just shout out to Yante Maton.
Shout out to John Rothstein. Trademarked "This is March," his world famous catchphrase. "This is March." You're not really a Rothstein guy.
You were very offended when I was like, I don't really care.
Yeah, like how can you not be a Rothstein guy?
I don't care. that's for the media.
Rothstein makes college. There's nothing better than trolling John Rothstein and him not understanding that you're trolling him. He's my favorite robot in the world. I love him so much. Darren Rovell was the one who broke the John Rothstein news, and it felt like streams were crossing. Like you could have convinced me that they were the same person, and like Darren Rovell just kind of like morphs into Rothstein during college basketball season. Yeah, but then he broke the news, and I was like, "Whoa, what's happening? They're 2 different people. What is this?" But yeah, John Rothstein is trademarked. This is March. So we're gonna have to, every time we say that phrase, we're gonna have to pay him.
And speaking of, we want to trademark something ourselves. Merch Madness.
Ooh, Merch Madness.
We have no merch to give out. There's our update on merch, but we want to trademark Merch Madness.
Yeah.
So if anyone can do that for us, just do it.
I want to shout out Tad Boyle, Colorado coach, who
yeah.
tore his calf trying to break up a fight between Arizona State and Colorado. Runs out onto the court. That's awesome. It reminded me of remember when Ron Hunter, the coach of Georgia State, like.
RJ's dad.
Yeah, RJ's dad. He did the same thing, sort of. So tore his calf doing that, and then you didn't even bring up Roy trying to tear a suit jacket.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't really.
What was
I don't
that?
understand that.
What? How does?
Yeah.
And explain to me how a man. So if you missed it, Roy Williams gets upset during the Syracuse game, tries to tear his suit jacket in half, which like, kind of weird. Because it doesn't make a lot of sense. But here's the question, Tate. This is a man who we know has struggled with vertigo through the years. Is prone to a dizzy spell. He gets too, he does something that's too strenuous. The man is passing out. He's falling over. But I noticed he didn't fall over when he tried to tear the jacket in half. And I also noticed North Carolina is sort of playing well. And it's been a little while since Roy Williams has passed out during a game. Weird. It's weird how that works.
He goes on a lot of walks. He stays in good shape.
Oh, okay.
That's what Coach Williams does. I think what I heard was, so last year, you remember the Malik Monk Kentucky game out in Vegas?
Oh,
the
oh
CBS
boy, do
Classic,
I.
the 47-pointer. Yeah, everyone remembers
I
that.
was there.
Roy threw his jacket in that game. People forget. And he hit Seventh Woods in the eye. He threw it at him and it hit him or whatever, and everyone was like, Roy's trying to not throw his jacket. So I guess he was trying to think of another finishing move.
Is that why Seventh Woods has sucked since then?
Seventh Woods had a great game against Miami. People forget. Go check it out.
Seventh Woods.
Yeah.
I came up with a really good joke off the air that I need to share with the listeners.
Please.
His name's Seventh because he peaked in 7th grade.
Oh,
yeah,
that was a good joke.
So guys, take that one and tweet it at Tate when he starts sucking because that's a really fun joke.
I will not like it.
Yeah, but I have a feeling Roy Williams might get a little dizzy tonight. That's my prediction for the Duke game. I think we might come back out and see a little light spell, a little.
Now that we're going to talk about it,
lightheaded, little.
North Carolina has not beaten Duke in the ACC tournament since 1998, and the people that were on that team were Antoine Jamison, Vince Carter, Shammond Williams, Shane Battier was playing as a young freshman with somehow looking like he was 40 years old at the time, and lamer than ever. It's been 20 years since we beat Duke in the ACC tournament. It's about time we figure this out and get a win. Last year, was pretty terrible. Harry Giles has his big moment, beats North Carolina. They win. They go 2-for-1 in the series. They don't win the national championship. They lost to South Carolina. North Carolina, people forget, went on to win the national championship.
Did they last year?
Yeah, they did.
Is that true?
So I will say this, and I'll put everything on the table right now. If I had to choose right now, North Carolina beats Duke in this game.
Yep. And
that leads to Duke then going on to win the national championship.
Yes.
I will still beat Duke today.
You want to beat Duke.
So that's how badly I want to beat Duke.
Even if it means Duke.
Once I realize it's been 20 years.
What if Duke beats North Carolina and then Duke goes on to win the national championship?
Then I quit.
How about that scenario?
Then I quit this podcast. Write that down, Kyle.
Yeah, I'm gonna tie you to the chair and just stick a microphone in your face.
I'm out. I'm out, baby.
So yeah, Carolina Duke tonight. I'm gonna find a way to talk about it one way or another. We're actually gonna do some video stuff during the game.
You're gonna come watch it at my house. You don't know that yet.
Yeah. You don't know that yet. Anything else before we go? Oh, we should mention we set up the bracket group on Yahoo. Do join our bracket group, please. It's at One Shining Pod.
We tweeted it out a few times. You'll see it. We haven't even joined it yet.
We haven't joined it yet,
as soon as we join it, we will definitely.
We're waiting for the numbers to get out. Like we need to see. I need to see if my own group is worthy of me joining. You know, like I'm not joining any bullshit group. I got to see like it's. But we're gonna do a thing. We're doing an awards show after the season. We're calling it the Duffies.
The Duffies.
We're giving out all sorts of awards. Good Guy of the Year, Bad Guy of the Year, Best Coach K Disciple.
Yep.
Best Image Rehabilitation. Excellence in Journalism. Some others. We got a few others.
Eighth Man of the Year.
The Red Shirt Junior of the Year. We're gonna do we're gonna do a big award show. But one of the awards we're giving out is like Friend of the Program of the Year or something like that. And whoever wins our bracket gets to call into the podcast, say whatever you want for like 2 minutes. Maybe longer, maybe shorter. I don't know how. 2 minutes. 2 minutes is one of those things that like
we'll make Kyle record it and we'll see what happens.
2 minutes doesn't seem like that long, but then you get some stranger talking to us, and I'm like, God, this is going on a long time.
If Chris Bourbon can do what he did in 2 minutes, then you can do something in 2 minutes.
So we're gonna do that. So join the bracket group, get an opportunity to do that if you win. Follow us at One Shining Pod, at Tate Frazier, at Club Trillion. That's pretty much it. You got anything else, Tate?
I will shout out. We're both uncles. You were recently an uncle. My brother's daughter, Quinn, is being born as we speak right now. It may have just happened. I have like 15 text messages right now.
You're an uncle for the first time?
Yes, I'm an uncle for the first time. So shout out to my brother Gil and his wife Ashley.
Tate and I are uncles. I became an uncle for the first time about a month ago. You became an uncle now.
Right now.
And the question is, I guess maybe we throw this up on a poll.
Am I an emergency contact?
Oh.
I hope not.
Maybe we throw this up on a poll, but we got to like figure out which one of us is Uncle Jesse and which one is Uncle Joey in this operation.
Yes, we'll figure it out.
I feel like the problem with me is like I'm both. Like I'm funny as hell. Everybody knows that, but I'm also handsome. Good looking, I'm also really handsome and I'm cool. So I might be both, and you might be dating Tanner.
No, I think Kyle's dating. Kyle, you're dating.
One thing we know is Kyle's definitely dating
Tanner. Yeah. Like I don't even know if I'm on the show. I might be a producer.
Kyle's definitely dating Tanner. Next time you guys hear from us on the podcast feed, it will be Selection Sunday. We will have a bracket in front of us. It'll be time. I want to say it will be March, but John Rothstein will probably sue me for that. So, but March Madness will be here. We're excited for it. Thank you guys for listening, and until then, save the crew.